see so many people that are paralyzed by the fear of failure. I have failed more times in my life than I can count, in athletics, in hunting, in life, being a dad. There's been times I haven't been a great dad, but from those failures, you learn. Every time you fail, you learn something. So if you're never willing to try, you're never gonna grow. You're never gonna learn. So I try to live my life, whether it's hunting, my business, being a dad, that I'm never gonna look back on my life and say, man, I didn't try that because I was afraid of failing. There's really two different kind of hunters out there. And I think there's the guys that they look at the land and what it gives them and look at the sign and they adjust every year to it. And, for me, there's nothing I like more than manipulating the land, like making it the best it can possibly be, whether it's cover for whitetail, food for whitetail. I love it. I live it. There's nothing I like more than planning and working all year long to have a successful hunting season. And, food plots are just a small piece of the puzzle when it comes to being successful, and something I live for all year long. Here we go again, right? And I talk about challenges from a hunting perspective, but I always love challenges from a professional and business standpoint too. And just when I start to get ahead a little bit, I look and say, hey, what can we do here? And for years, I've looked at things and I've said to myself, I can do that. I can do it better. And out of that came the idea of Magnet Outdoors, our premium food plot seeds. Everything that I do in life, I think I can do it. I can do it better. I think we can be the best. We can provide the best seed blends with the research and the things that we do, and the things we're going to do differently. We can be the best, and that's the single most reason why I'm doing this. Well, glad you guys could come up. This is our northeast test plot, and I'm happy. You can see the results. We've been working hard on this blend and going through all the testing, and I am extremely pleased. We get people that call us on an early season to late season. We got the oats, the winter wheat, the turnips, the radishes, and man, I know I'm really happy with it.
Well, and you should be. I'm excited about it too. Obviously, it's produced a lot of tonnage out here, and it's going to be phenomenal hunting out here. And one of the things I'm most excited about, even beyond this, is you challenging yourself and challenging the company to continue to test products to try to make it even better in the years to come.
That's right.
But right now, this is going to be hard to beat.
That's right. I agree.
And 1, 2, 3. Need one more.
Good. Help?
All this experience, I've never dealt in a food plot.
You sit there and you look and say, okay, who are the two best guys I could get if I want to start a food plot business and seed business? And immediately, Wilson and Steve Scott, the originals, the founders of the food plot revolution. Before anybody even heard of a food plot, these were the first guys to ever do this. They've designed and developed the best-selling seed blends in the world. So all the pieces just started to fall in together. Because if we're going to do this, we knew right away, research and development was the biggest thing. We want to research every blend, not only to really scientifically study our seeds and what we're using, but then also in the field. It's great to do it in a controlled environment, but we're also testing everything in the field. And I think what people don't realize is, when you buy a blend of seed, there might be some brassicas and some clovers and this and that. There's hundreds of different clover seeds. So we're going out and we're testing all of them side by side by side, looking to see what do the deer like the best, what grows the best, what grows better in certain conditions. So just the testing in the field is added to that in so many ways. And actually, I really enjoy it because at the end of the day, I know we're doing things that other people aren't. We do testing all across the country. Alabama, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, different states, because we have regional blends for certain parts of the country. When a guy buys a bag of Magnet Outdoor seed, I want him to know that, hey man, those guys did all the work, that I know when I put this in the ground, this is going to give me the best chance at shooting a big buck. I am so unbelievably excited about the future, what we're doing. But again, it just throws a whole other thing. I think every year people hear me talking to my documentaries about the new stuff where I started doing property consulting and all these different businesses. Well, here we go again, going to do a food plot seed company, and the amount of work that's going into it is really unbelievable. It's a lot of work.
When you do something that has meaning to you, like you're going to put in the time, you're going to put in the effort. I'm ready for that. I'm used to it. I think that he's proven himself, and I'm along for the ride.
So, we've developed the blends, and, it's time to plant plots, but obviously we have all the work that goes into every season. We're hanging stands. We're putting cameras out, getting that buck inventory, finding out what's going on. We're practicing with our bows every day, right? Getting ready for season. So, of course, all of that usual stuff is going on, as well as the additional stuff with the testing and everything with Magnet Outdoors.
It seems like every year we keep adding hours to our things to do list, and to me it doesn't bother me because I don't sit in the house very well anyhow. I need to do something, but every year it seems like, well, we're going to do this. Okay, do we have enough time to do all this stuff?
So season's here, right? All of the hard work. It's been unbelievably harder than most seasons, right? With everything that we're doing, and the food plots grew awesome. The deer are hammering them. We got big bucks on camera. Actually, I have 4 shooter bucks. If you followed me last year, I only had 1. This year I got 4 bucks that I would shoot. So it's here, and Realtree's coming to town. They call me and say, hey, Jason, we want to come film a short documentary at your place about the work that you do with kids, right? I called my good friend Garrett because I know he's got a lot of, he's got a lot of young men. I said, hey, what do you think about Eli going to get his first deer? And they were in. And so yeah, it's the opening weekend of season. And it's kind of hard for me because if you know me, I'm a big fan of shooting my buck in the first week of season. A lot of times that's the first day, but man, I'll give it up for a kid hunt anytime. So I'm excited. We're taking them out, and I'm going to one of my plots that I have my trifecta blend in, and it's just been getting hammered, and there's been multiple bucks coming in. And so we get in the blind, we're sitting, it like I said, it is a gorgeous night weather-wise, not too cold, not too hot, just about perfect. And it's not long we have deer. The really cool thing for me and all of that was it was the first time I'm in the field watching deer come eat my seed blends, right? Like I'm sitting there like, this is cool. This is the start of something really big, right? This is the first hunt that we did over one of my plots. And sure enough, one of the bigger bucks that I was getting, the first one to make an appearance, so we look off to my right and I'm like, oh, buck. And he's feeding around and he's just a little too far out there. And I say, we got to wait for him to get broadside and we need him. He's going to come across right in front of us. I don't know what happened. It's what happens with bigger bucks sometimes. He whips his head up, looks at us, and he's gone. And that was kind of hard because I know Eli was excited. I was excited. But I said, hey, there's other bucks coming here. Maybe we still have a chance. 5 minutes later, buck to my right, and it's just a little buck and a nice 8-point just kind of sparring a little bit, and it was super cool to watch Eli get to experience that. And I said, okay, we're gonna wait, but I realized the last time he kind of came down to our right, and so this time I'm like, we're not gonna mess around. And Eli did great, and so I just move him over. He sits on my on my leg. We get the crossbow moved over, and man, that buck comes, I think it was 30 yards, and he put, honestly, what you look at on film and you'll see it, perfect shot.
I remember what was going through my mind when I was that age. handled it very well. You know, he was always smiling. He was always happy. And I thought, this is a cool little kid, you know.
Good job, man. You were a pro. You did great, man. You did awesome. You did really, really good.
And so we sit there and it's like, you know, I want to teach Eli. I was like, well, we can go get that deer right now. Like, let's just go get him. But it's like, no, you know, we're going to teach him. We're going to wait half hour here and we're going to go get that deer. We ended up tracking that deer probably 300 yards, 200, 300 yards. So I didn't want to take any chances. I said, listen, we're going to call a dog. You know, it's legal in Pennsylvania to use a dog, help track. And we called in and they came in. And actually that was a pretty cool experience, I think, for Eli to watch that dog work because it was amazing. That we ended up 500 yards. I mean, that deer went 500 yards from where he shot it.
What do you think, man? You got spoiled with the buck, but you didn't get spoiled with the tracking job for sure. I'm proud of you, man.
You can't ask for a better ending to the story, you know, because he got to see where he was probably a little nervous because the dog's looking for the deer. And I'm sure he was thinking, oh boy, well, if I'm going to find this deer. Actually, everybody had that thought in their mind. And, you know, we had our fingers crossed. And we all walked up there and that little kid just smiled, went from about this big to about this big. And I said, that's good stuff there, you know.
Oh, this is not going to be a fun drag, Eli. Woo!
The season's off to a great start, right? You know, we're 1 for 1 hunt. New hunter, new buck on my food plot. It's going to be easy, right? But no, the season gets a little bit tougher after that.
A lot of deer tracks.
So we're into season and I'm going in, I don't know, feeling especially cocky this year, right? I have at least 4.5-year-old bucks. No problem, right? I'm going to be tagged out the first day. There's a real nice 10, the kinds that comes and almost touches. He's actually my number 2. My number 1 was a really big buck that actually had a limp with his left leg. And I didn't have a lot of pictures of him, but he was my number 1 buck. Then my number 3 is a real heavy 9-point. And then my number 4 was just a big mature 8-point with real long G2s, just a really, really pretty buck. I just shot any 4 of those. So I'm thinking, hey, it's gonna be easy this year, we're gonna do it. And it wasn't, you know, I felt like it was a whole season. When I zigged, they zagged. But I had some great encounters with some really good bucks. You know, people thought I was crazy. One night, just a beautiful night, I was hunting one of our trifecta plots and had just a beautiful 8-point come in. And he's right under my stand and I'm looking and I'm like, oh man, like that's a good buck. And I let him go and I showed some clips later on you know, my Facebook page and people were like, you idiot, like what are you doing? And I'm like, he wasn't on the list, right? You know, but he was a really, really good buck. It was a great encounter. And then later in the year, had a really nice encounter with the one I was chasing. We actually passed this buck last year to let him get the 4.5. Just a beautiful 10-point that had crab claws that came and touched. Just a heavy buck, and I was chasing him pretty hard. And as fate would have it, he's coming in. I grunted him in, and I see him come. I turn the camera on, and I'm looking at the camera, and I'm like, I can't find him. I can't tell what's going on. The camera. And then I realized, like, the camera was completely fogged up. That buck came up and he's coming right to me, and about 40 yards out, he just turned and went to the left and out of my life. And I'm like, oh, that was awful, because I just shot him even off camera. He was a beautiful buck. And, you know, late in the season, ended up getting really personal for me with a big, heavy 9 of just a heavy 4.5-year-old 9-point. And it got personal with him because he was the one that when I would walk in and walk out, then he'd come by 10 minutes later. And then I would go hunt somewhere else and he'd be there the next night. You know, a funny story is, you know, Brian Schweitzer, who you know, it's good to bounce things off other guys. And I said, man, I've been hunting this for 2-3 days. What do you think?
And like a dummy, he asked me what I thought. And I said, oh, maybe you ought to give it a night off. I said, I think you're hunting it too much. You're hunting it too much. And he said, oh, okay. So he doesn't go there that next night.
Next night, boom, there he is. I'm like, hey, Schweitzer, I sent him the picture. Check it out, man. He's like, all right, I'm not giving you advice anymore. But that's just how this buck was. So then I just decided I'm focusing all my attention on that buck. So here we are. It's been a grind. I mean, I've been hunting every morning, every night, sometimes all day. And I just decided, you know what, after that time, we're in the I think it's the last week of season. And I said, all right, I'm not moving. I'm staying here, and I'm hunting this buck, and I'm staying for at least 4 days. And some of them were all day. I mean, it was there. And I'll tell you what, the third day, I really thought about him. Like, he knows I'm in here. How's he, just when I'm here, he's not. So like he's seeing me come in. I don't know, I'm just, all these, wheels are turning. You're thinking, why isn't this buck showing up? I almost didn't go back. I said, all right. And mainly because it's uncomfortable. You're tired of looking at the same stuff. I mean, you're staring at the same stuff day after day after day. But I said, no, man, you said 4 days, we're sitting 4 days. So I went back in the fourth day and get in there and had a decent morning, didn't see a lot. This is my fourth straight day of hunting this buck in the same stand. And I'm getting a little wore out. So we're gonna sit here one more day and enjoy the scenery. But I think tomorrow I'm gonna make a move if he doesn't show up. So
the rain has moved in. There's little to no wind. It's warm. We got a cold front coming in. And honestly, I don't care if I see a bunch. I just want to see one. The one. I'm gonna settle in here and deal with the rain. It's supposed to rain the rest of the way out, so we're gonna deal with that. And sitting over one of my trifecta blend, and it is just getting hammered. Got turnips, radishes, winter wheat, oats, and the deer are just smashing it right now. So hopefully the big guy wants to come in and have a little fuel before he goes and finds his next doe. So that's the plan.
it goes on. We had some rain throughout the day, just kind of a big buck day, overcast and drizzly and things like that. And I said, I'm gonna sit it out all day. And sure enough, I don't know, 10 minutes before dark, I look to my right. I'm like, holy crap, there he is. When you put this much time in, you're just like a wreck. You're like, man, this is probably going to be my only chance at getting this guy. I got to make it happen. I got to make all the right moves. So he's a little bit quartering to me, and I knew, I was like, all right, I got to stick it tight behind the shoulders, about a 30, 32-yard shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he maybe fell right up there, but I'm not sure. Yes. On my new seed blends. I only saw one deer tonight, and I've been hunting this. I am wore out. I am exhausted. But man, that's what it's all about. Okay, I am walking out now, and I wanted to wait till I got far enough away, but I watched that footage over and over, and just on the little viewfinder, it's really hard to tell. I made kind of a rookie mistake when I stopped him, when I went, man, he took a little step towards me, and so the shot to me looks good. It's in the front quarter, but with that quartering too, I want to play it safe on a big buck like this. So I'm just gonna scooch out here real quiet. I'm gonna go back, watch the footage on my laptop.
Watching this on a bigger screen, initially I thought, it was just about, and then I thought maybe it was back just a little bit. And like I thought, you saw when I stopped him, he took a little step towards us, which definitely made the angle a little bit, not what I'd want, a little bit slightly quartering to.
Yeah.
If you hear that loud pop, definitely impact. It was a little bit low, but looks like plenty high enough. I'm thinking liver, maybe the back part of the gut, not sure. But made the right call. We're going to give him 24 hours just to be safe. I've been chasing this buck. I've put a lot of time in. I do not want to do anything stupid and screw it up. So we're going to give it 24 hours and go back in there tomorrow afternoon. I didn't sleep real well that night. Like anytime, you do that, you don't sleep real well.
And we do this to ourselves, because we enjoy the hunting part, but we like the getting part too, And every time something crappy like what happened, we'd talk and talk, and I felt like I was a therapist because I could, oh, you hang in there. I says, I'm going to start charging for therapy here pretty quick.
I said, I'm gonna play this right. I'm gonna back out of here. It was nice and cold. I said, we're gonna come back. I'm gonna get a dog. Called Brian and and my cousin Mike and Mike Beveridge and Andy Traster, and was telling them, and they're like, well, we want to be with you tomorrow. And talking to the dog tracker, he's like, listen, we want to give it till tomorrow evening. We want to give him 24 hours. So we gave him that time. The dog guy gets there, Brian and my friends, and we get down there and go right to the hit site. Dog gets right on where he went. It wasn't long, I hear that bark. Got your deer. I mean, he wasn't 150 yards away, and I was ecstatic. I come barreling through all the trees and the brush and stuff.
So awesome, man. Super pumped. My first buck on our new magnet seed blends. I can't describe how excited I am. And look at this bad boy. I knew it was heavy, but yeah, what a buck. I know guys talk about this all the time. I shoot a rage. This is the time you want to shoot a rage. I had a big cut and it kind of quartered to me, and man, there's just a huge exit hole. Probably got liver and gut. So
he was everything that I dreamed he was going to be. Sometimes you think ground shrinkage, but he was by far not my biggest score buck, but by far the heaviest buck I ever shot.
All of a sudden, it was. I think they were having tornadoes around the area, and we're standing on top of this hill that he's hunting on, and they're just blowing. And thinking, boy, Jason must have good friends that would stand up here and go through this.
We got to hurry up. Everybody wanted out of there, and so I'm like, we got to get him out of here. We'll have to take pictures, and I'm trying to think, well, where can we do this at? And, it's like, oh, my mom and dad's barn, right? I know some people are going to make fun of me. Well, you took your deer and gave him a photo shoot. But I was like, well, I got to get pictures of this deer. So went to my mom and dad's barn, had a bunch of high fives with my friends, and just celebrated.
That's what it's all about, you're high five and telling the deer story. And you get it back to the garage to skin it out, and sometimes the story changes a little bit as time goes on, and that's part of the fun too,
Can you describe your joy at Jason putting another buck on the wall?
My rule is if you put a new one up, one has to come down. I don't think he's liking that rule. He thinks that there's space for another one somewhere, but I'm still not feeling like there's space for any more, so.
The question is, who makes the rules? Do you make the rules? Or does Jason make the rules?
I think he likes to think that he makes the rules.
I worked really, really hard to get that buck, not only from all the work we did in the season with the new seed company, but then I sat 60 times that year, 60 different times trying to kill one of my target bucks, and finally put my hands on his antlers. I was super pumped. One of the biggest things that I see, and I see people struggle with, I see kids struggle with, it's that fear of failure, right? It's the fear of failure that paralyzes you to the point that you won't take the chance, right? I've failed more times than I can count. 59 times I failed before I shot that deer. And that's just life, right? And that's how I look at the new Magnet Outdoors business. People are like, oh man, you're just getting ahead, you're comfortable, why are you putting all this money and doing it? And it's like, because I think I can do it better. Yeah, could I fail? You're darn right I could. But I'm not gonna look back on my life and say, man, I was so afraid to try.